Okay, so I have a lot of apologies right off the bat at the beginning. One, um, trying to do my best here. Camera might go in and out of focus. I'm going to try to keep it in focus. I'm going to try to do the best with the lighting that I've got here. Normally, I would try to use natural lighting as much as possible, but it's a very dark and stormy day, so that's not really a possibility at the moment. Haven't had any coffee yet, so I don't know how the energy is going to be, but I'm going to try. And last but not least, this is the first video that I've made in almost a year, and I apologize for that. I had someone that I cared about very much at the time kind of get in my head about what the channel should be, and sort of let them dictate to me what they thought the channel should be, and then I, um, I kind of lost track and lost focus from there. But essentially, I'm going to try to get back to it. I had promised a video looking at Drouillet at one point, and I'm going to try to make that video pretty soon. And then we'll get back to some of my favorite books and cartoonists, and hopefully going through and breaking down some different techniques and things, going more in depth. One more thing that I'd like to address before we go on. It should be obvious that, since the last recording, something very terrible happened within the comic book community. Obviously this channel kind of started up and I got back into comics. So my background is, I was that kid who loved comic books like since I was like 3 years old. Some of my first memories are, my mom. We used to go on a lot of trips and things, even though we didn't have a whole lot of money. We always seemed to be, and we're constantly broke. Single parent, single mom, and yet she always would. And yet we always seemed to go on trips, usually probably business trips, as she was building her business. And even at a very young age, I would have to go with her, and so she would just like buy some comic books and kind of throw them in the back, or probably to the side seat, because back then, I mean, in the 80s, who cared where a kid was riding? And I was always very happy to just read comics, even though sometimes I couldn't read. Although, thanks to my mom who used to read to me, I could read at a very young age, like actual words, for the most part. And then I got lucky as I got older. We switched schools. I switched schools a couple of times when we moved to a larger city, and from a very small city, a very small town to a larger city, and got into a school, got bullied a lot. Kind of a weird small town kid coming in, who also just happened to be very geeky. Somehow, even without a community, I found like, I was into comic books. I was into like stuff that I would find on like PBS, like Doctor Who and British shows and things like that. And so anyway, switched schools again, and I got lucky. I got involved with like pretty much everybody there was geeky or nerdy in some way. So pretty much every guy in my class and in most of the other classes were into comic books. Like almost every single guy at the school was into comic books. And so fit right in. And there were a bunch of us in my class that had artistic school skills, and we would make comics. And so we would try to outdo each other. We would bring in materials, like I would bring in highlighters and like, oh man, I'm going to cover. And we would bring in comic books, and we would like share with each other and be like, oh man, that's awesome, and we would go through. and we would try to figure out what worked. I remember I was the first guy to get How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way back when I was like 11, maybe. Maybe 13, somewhere around there. I can't remember. And brought it into school one day, and like everybody just went nuts. Like, oh, it was literally like almost fighting over who got to check out that book. And in fact, I might not have ever gotten that copy back, and I've probably had about 5 different versions of that book since then. Um, and anyway, so that grew, and I kept drawing and writing, and those were my two passions. And so, got to the point where you're going to go to college. I decided to go to start off in illustration in San Francisco. I'm from Louisiana originally and live in Louisiana now. But anyway, moved out to San Francisco, started in illustration. San Francisco played with some of my sensibilities. I have a hard time. Um, I have a hard time with substances, so that's why I'm basically straight edge for the last 10 years or so. Um, and because it's sort of that OCD thing where if you start something, you have to finish it, and that means if you have a drink, then you're going to be drinking nonstop for the next week, with no sleep. So anyway, that didn't work out very well. Switched over, went to the Savannah College of Art and Design, which is very famous because it was one of the first accredited, or the first accredited, I think, school in the U.S. with a sequential art program. And I was in sequential art, so studied with some of the great comic book artists. James Sturm was one of my teachers. And he's like, he gets mentioned every other episode in earlier episodes of Cartoonist Kayfabe. But anyway, and then I finished, graduated, started making some comics with some friends, and then life got in the way. I traveled, lived in South Korea, lived in China, got married, had a daughter, focused on raising my daughter, got divorced, was a single father for a while, went through all kinds of stuff. Kind of was going through so much that, everything looked very dark. Luckily, again, like I said, no substances or anything, so don't have that to fall back on. Just sort of raw dogging life, as it were, as they say. And, sorry. And eventually found my way to the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel. And that's what I want to mention, because there's a lot of people in the Cartoonist Kayfabe community that have gone through very similar things. And we kind of got brought together by two people, Jim Rugg and Ed Pisquar. And their absolute love and devotion to the medium. And it got me doing comics again. It got me cartooning again. It got me getting involved with people in the Cartoonist Kayfabe community through like Kayfabe-tober and things like that, and meeting others. And so, of course, Ed's gone, and tragically gone. And there's no new Cartoonist Kayfabe. And no one is going to, it's just not possible for anyone to step up and fill that void. And, that was like lightning in a bottle that can pretty much only happen once. I mean, Brian Moss has his Power to the Panel, and it's very good. Other people do reviews and things of comics, but that's the thing. It's reviews. It's not looking at doing deeper dives into comics. So the reason I started this channel, even when kayfabe was still around, was because I was like, hey, I've got techniques. We all have, every cartoonist that does it for a while, develop their own sensibilities and learn things that not everyone else has. So it's like, hey, let me share this if I can. And so that's what I wanted to get across. So I'm going to try to do that to my best abilities. Of course, this channel will never be kayfabe, but it can be what it is. And I can do what I can do, and I can pass on what I can pass on, and hopefully do my part to get everybody as stoked about comics as Jim and Ed did for us. You know, which brings us back here. You can see my Sharpies over here. Of course, I'm working on comics and stuff. This is my board. This is like a 20-something-year-old art board that I've even used back in college making comics. So it's been around. It's seen a lot. This, I'm not going to turn over because it's got addresses on the back, mine and this person. This is a comic from Alan Robinson. This is a dude that, again, I met as part of the kayfabe community, and his art and his comics have blown me away. The guy does these dynamic layouts, and he draws action sequences so well and so dynamically that even Kirby, I think, would be impressed. Oh, we're going out of focus. There we go. Trying to get back in. And again, this is sort of my setup. It's not professional. Again, we're not trying to be kayfabe here and make it look like this is my drawing board. And I'm doing this on my phone. And I'm chewing gum, so you can probably hear that as well. I apologize. But I'm going to break this open. I told him that I would do this on camera. And I'm really excited about this. I got this in yesterday. He was worried because when I posted a picture of it, it looks beat up. But I mean, it's Louisiana, so of course we're going to get everything that gets delivered is going to get a little beat up. Then again, I think that's everywhere. Pretty much everybody that's posted their envelopes looks a little beat up, so that has nothing to do with him. That's a mail carrier thing. But it got here in pretty good condition. You see, it's not that beat up. So without further ado, let's open this up, and I'm going to show you Alan's first comic book. And he said he put some extras in here. So he did not ask me to do this. In fact, he didn't. I don't even know if he knew that I had the channel. But we've been talking a lot, and so I was like, hey, man, I haven't done a video in a while. Ooh, this is impressive. Okay, man, I'm excited. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this on camera. Look at this right off the bat. I've got a sketch. Oh, dude. Arlen hooked me up, man. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, everybody's going to get this treatment. I don't know. But the dude always does go out of his way to not only be encouraging to everybody, but to do his best. I mean, like, I bought the comic, and the next thing I know, I have this amazing hand-drawn sketch right here. At least I don't know, maybe a print. No? I can't tell if this is hand-drawn or a print. It's got to be hand-drawn. I see the pencil marks, I think. Either way. Oh my God, it's two. Holy cow. Look, now we've got the reverse. And I'm hoping this stays in focus. Look at this. Look at the detail in the background, man. Most people, myself included, do these sort of dynamic backgrounds that sort of are half-assed and, kind of Liefeld McFarlane-esque, and we'll get to the comic in just a second. But Alan, oh no, not Alan. Alan has to go in. Look at the rendering on these trees, man. The lichen, the even the grass. Like you've got the feathering on the grass. Look at the perspective of everything. And he was telling me, he was like, "Hey man, be gentle. This is my first. Remember, this is my first comic." And he's like, I've gotten better. I'm like, yeah, we're all going to get better. The more that we do comics, the more that we're going to get better. But there's no need to be gentle. I mean, right off the bat, this is blowing me away. Look at this. I mean, look at the space, look at the atmosphere, the emotion that it creates, the haunted looking mansion in the background. Even even Alan's fashion sense, like how he dresses all of his characters, a sort of what do you call that, corset type deal. The rendering on the pants, like everything, the details, the ripples and the dresses, making sure that we've got more like negative space in the figure so that it doesn't clash with the heavy amount of detail and even solid black in the background. You know, we've got very definite foreground, middle ground, background, where even like these two characters in the background don't pop out. This guy actually sinks back into the background, so he's kind of creepy, stalkerish. I mean, goodness, dude, if you're watching this, this is just. We've got a comics boner right now, man. This is amazing, dude. This is blowing me away. I can't wait to look deeper in it. I'm going to spend hours just studying this and seeing what I can rip off, as cartoonists do. Okay, I'm going to throw that over there. Okay, here is the main event. This is Alan's very first comic book. And he told us to be gentle. Okay? Once again, his use of colors right off the bat on the cover, very definitive foreground, middle ground, background. Very good color theory. Everything's darker as we go back. Everything's more vibrant and lighter. In the front, we've got good contrast between the colors of the not glarishly contrasting, like sort of 60s comics, but a good amount of contrast in the foreground and in the background and everything, so that everything sort of does have this like three-dimensional pop. We know what's in the front and we're supposed to be focused on, and everything else stays in the background. Very beautiful. And see, it came in good condition, man. I mean, this is going to be, we're supposed to read our comics. This is not one that, oh. And once again, man, I'm talking about how much this guy hooked me up. A sketch card on the back. So this is what I was expecting. He was sending out sketch cards to everybody, and then I got the sketch card plus the additional pinups. And dude, these sketch cards, I've got sketch cards, they're off, that I've been doing. Nothing on this, man. Because these are like true sketch cards, man. He's not setting everything out and laboriously trying to make a trading card. He's like, hey man, this is a vibrant sketch. Look at the vibrancy, look at the dynamics of his thing. It's not just a figure standing there and sort of, this figure has life, this figure has movement, this figure directs us in how we're supposed to be feeling within in this composition. That's what I love about this guy's art. It's not static, and you can see, like, this is vibrant and everything, but you can see how much improvement he's gotten, where, like, this has vibrancy and dynamism, but look at how fluid this is and how this has weight and lightness, like, we know where the weight sinks. We can see it. And that's a beautiful thing that a lot of people miss, in trying to get perfect rendering or whatever. I'll take this any day of the week. When you've got great rendering. And now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to leave the card in there for now. I'll probably put it in a case. Okay, here we go. So, he is going to be launching a ton of comics coming up. So here we go. Madame Minerva's Museum of the Macabre mini. So he's got a mini comic that he's advertising on the back. Here is his Instagram. So please check that out. Dude is constantly posting stuff. Amazing work. We've already looked at the cover. Let's break this open. I'm not going to go through everything. We'll just kind of give a preview because we're already 20-something minutes in. But already right off the bat, and we've got this dedicated to Ed, as it should be. And look at all the cast of characters here who he's thanking for inspiration. So Ed gets his special thing down here, but right off the bat, we've got the man, Kirby, Dave Stevens, Rocketeer, Wally Wood, Adam Hughes, Bernie Wrightson, who I think more than anybody, probably Alan's got a lot of inspiration from. Definitely the dynamism from Kirby, a lot of the Stevens, very beautiful women, Wally Wood also, Bernie Wrightson, the sort of dynamic horror that we get. We get Jaime, and and then Junji Ito, Matt Baker, Johnny Craig, Jose Gonzalez. You can kind of see, and then of course everything done by Alan himself, even lettered, and beautifully lettered as well. You gotta love that hand lettering. So we've got this dynamic splash page that sets everything up. And what I like about it is that it has a lightness before we go into the heavier darks, It's got that good dark, light balance where our eye moves throughout the pages. And I'm going to read this later. Right now, I mainly just wanted... check this out. Here's another thing that I love about Alan's stuff. Figures are not just placed in their environment. They actually look like they belong there. They interact with their environment. It doesn't look like there's just, I can't even do this. This is something that I work on. But there's an interaction between figure and background. And look how dynamic this is, just all of a sudden. The comic that he's working on now is just intense. Like, it is almost non-stop action and fighting, and things just burst off of the seam, off the scenes, off of the page. Look at this. Holy crap. And he's not, I love this. He's not taking sort of the lowest common denominator approach. He's keeping it classy. Just enough cheesecake to sort of get you interested, and then it's like, no, keep you reading. And you can see already that he's already sort of getting closer into the work that he's doing now. See, like this to me is very reminiscent of the action stuff that he's doing now. But imagine this like 10 times more dynamic, even. So this is already very good. This is action packed. The stuff that he's doing now is mind blowingly good. Okay? And actually, I did go through the whole thing, but I didn't read it. So now I'm going to read this, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to be studying those amazing sketches that he sent me, which are more than sketches. I mean, those are pro works. Highly recommend checking this out. I mean, for $5, Alan always makes sure that you're more than satisfied. I mean, talk to the guy. The guy is inspirational. The guy is an amazing person. This is fun. This is what comics should be, you know? So, do that. We're going to dive into other artists coming up. Like I said, the next one I want to do is Drew Ye, because I was on that whole European sort of outlet. So I'd like to stick with that for a while, and then we may jump back to Japan. We may look at we may even go back and study some of the extreme stuff again, because that's more, sort of my wheelhouse there. That and underground stuff. But anyway, I hope that everybody's doing well. This is just one that I was really excited about, and rightfully so. And so I wanted other people to sort of catch that fever that I was feeling from Alan's work. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. On to the next one. Thank you very much.